2025 was one of the few years of the last 15 years that the international markets actually outperformed the S&P 500. The other 2 years were 2017 and 2012. There's a lot of investors out there that feel like they probably should have performed better if they had international exposure, but they didn't quite see those returns. Let's go to the charts to find out why. The three main reasons that international markets outperformed the S&P 500 last year would be a little bit of a breather with the Magnificent Seven, which account for a big percentage of the US stock market. The second reason would be really strong performance in international heavy sectors, whether it be financials, industrials, or materials. And the third and probably most realistic reason was the dollar has weakened, and that just makes international investing more attractive. Let's take a brief look at 2025 performance numbers. S&P 500, just under 18%. Really solid year, all things considered. But if you bought the stock market excluding US stocks, that averaged about 31% last year. We'll dig in developed markets, 32%, just looking at the Eurozone, over 40%, and then emerging markets, 34%. But we want to close out just looking at when you do buy a global investment, whether it be a global market cap ETF or mutual fund, just where is your money allocated? Finally, what we want to do is just look at two key factors of global investing. The first would be just because you're invested in a global type investment, mutual fund or ETF, it does not mean that your investments are spread out equally among countries or regions. It's split up among size or market cap. Currently, right now, the United States is 64% of the global market cap, meaning 64, 2/3 of your dollars go into US investing. So you're not getting much exposure to Europe, emerging markets, other areas like that. The second key point would be just because one country or region is dominant now doesn't mean it's always going to be dominant. We can look back at 1987 when Japan was over 40% of the world's market cap. Since then, over the last almost 40 years, we've seen it drop to about 5% of the world's market cap. So be very careful when you're investing in a global type vehicle like this, because a lot of the times you're buying yesterday's performance as opposed to the best stocks or regions of the future. Thanks for tuning into this episode, and if there's any other topics you'd like us to discuss, please feel free to shoot us a note.